Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today I want to show you our garden. So I realize it's really late in the season to be showing you guys this garden space. However, this space has taken so much time to get ready and to make look good, and then it's taken so much time to have everything grow and look lush and look green. But I might have waited too long because now we're at the end of the season and things are actually starting to die off. So I wanted to get out here and make a quick cell phone YouTube video for you guys about what the garden looks like now, show you what we did, and I hope that you're inspired by it. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and please remember to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with everything we're doing here at Sugar Maple Farmhouse. Okay, so to start, this is our pumpkin trellis. We built it out of hog wire and some T-posts, and it just looks dreamy and beautiful, I think. This was actually one of the later additions to the garden space, but I love it. And our pumpkins are actually doing beautifully right now. They're honestly growing crazy and taking up all the space in the front of the garden here. They're going all the way over here and encroaching on other things, but it'll be worth it. This looks so beautiful and I'm so happy with the way it's turned out. So the pumpkin trellis actually functions as kind of our entrance to the whole garden space here. However, you can see that I've got other vines and other things starting to encroach here, and the pumpkins, like I said, are just taking over. Look, there's another sweet one. Oh, that's another gorg down there. So all these viney plants are actually just kind of taking over here. We've got watermelon over here, and there's a big one over there. And then we've got cantaloupe on this side, and you can see a couple of cantaloupes in here that are starting to mature. But this plant has actually produced so many this year. I'm actually really shocked. We had a bird nesting in this area over here at some point, which is why there's tons of weeds. I didn't pull them. I let the bird stay there, have its babies, and then they went off, and this is the mess I'm left with. You can see that the pumpkins, though, are actually kind of encroaching here again on everything. They're coming up here. This is my cauliflower right here. So I've got this one that's coming through. It looks like it's almost ready. So awesome. There's some more that'll probably be, oh, there's some more in there. Then over here, I had some peppers, some hot peppers, and hot dog peppers. And then this was my broccoli. It's bolted pretty much for the season. It's been so hot this year, you guys, that it was actually really hard to have the garden. I had to be out here every single night early in the season and watering every single night for 2 hours because this garden is so large. Actually, some of these we could probably still use, like that one, and this one. Some of it's good. We actually took off the main head and I had no idea that it was gonna come up and sprout again. So it was a really nice surprise. Over here, there's strawberries and rhubarb. And the rhubarb is this plant here. It's kind of going nuts. I've got to pick it and make some jelly. And then here is dill. This has obviously bolted for the season. But the great thing about this is that the seeds will scatter all on their own, and we'll get more dill plants throughout the garden. Then we had our corn. We actually have picked this already and we've eaten it. The few that are left on the stalks there really aren't that good, so we left them. But this was amazing to be able to grow our own corn this year. Then over here, we have some more pepper plants. This is a weed. These pepper plants actually didn't do very well this year, and I'm not quite sure why. Then we have a zucchini plant, oh, with some purple basil that's bolted there. Those are some beans and a weed. The beans, actually here, I'll tell you about this. The beans are coming back. I thought they were done for the season, but as the weather cools, the bean plants are coming back to life again. Look at that. I should actually pick those. So they don't like hot weather. As the weather gets colder again, I'm expecting to see them do so much better again. Over here we have one of our cucumber plants, and our cucumbers this year really didn't grow correctly. I wanted them to grow up, but you can see they kind of grew out. This plant has also, because it did not grow up, it didn't get enough air between its leaves, which is why it's got kind of this it's called blight. It's actually a disease from it not having enough air circulation between it. But you can see it's impacting the leaves, but it's not really impacting the fruits or the cucumbers. You can see a few down there. We should come pick those too. One of our massive zucchini plants was here. This one is about done for the season, but we have gotten so many zucchini from this plant. It's pretty dang ridiculous. And my zucchini this year, I tried to grow them up in these trellises that are for tomatoes. It somewhat worked, but I've got a new plan for next year that I'm gonna try instead. Here's a couple of our tomatoes. You can see we've got some cherry tomatoes here. And then throughout the garden, most of our tomatoes have not actually turned yet. So most of them are still green. I grew heirloom tomatoes this year. This is a weed, a blade of grass. I grew mostly heirloom tomatoes this year. And I think that was a mistake. Next year I'm gonna grow some other kinds because heirloom tomatoes are kind of picky to start with, but they're delicious. More zucchini here. More zucchini here. This plant did really well actually growing up into the trellis for me. And it just helps with air circulation. It helps with bugs and disease. You can see how some of those just grew beautifully up in there. That is the idea. That's gold standard. That one is not. On this side again, we have some more tomato plants and then another zucchini that is done for the season. Over here, through here, we had pickles and more pickles. These ones actually got blight too. So last weekend I pulled almost all of this out. And then it also impacted this plant, which this plant, even though it looks awful, it is still producing. So you can see some of them down there. But we are kind of to the end of the season for the pickles and the cucumbers. So we're going on vacation for a little bit. We have a friend coming to the house to watch it. And when I get back, I'm gonna pull all of this out to make way for fall. Over here, we have more strawberries. And you can see that the watermelons on this side have just totally taken over. I'm gonna watch where I step here because I love that they've sprawled out, but I wanna make sure to not step on the vines. In there is some summer squash, and there's actually spaghetti squash in that bed too on the other side. Another box of strawberries and rhubarb. You can see another giant watermelon down there. And then we grew mint with the watermelon that just went nuts and took over. So somehow next year I'm gonna have to try and get that out of there. Then here we've got our bean plants. We just picked these last night, so I'm not sure how much I'm gonna be able to show you guys on these, but here's some baby ones. I don't know if you can see that over there. Oh yeah, look at these guys right in here. So these have just been producing like crazy for us, and they're so fun to grow. They, again, don't really love the hot weather. So they started flourishing when we had about a week of 70s here. Now it's back to 90s. So this is kind of my front quadrant. as I call it. There are, let's see, there's 20 beds in this quadrant, starting with the pumpkins over there and then going all the way back here this way to my dead cucumbers. In my original plan, in this space that I showed you guys back in February, we had fruit trees on here and we did plant them. We have apple trees, that's an apple tree. And then all down there, apple trees. I will tell you that we've had a really rough season for the apple tree as well, and for the garden in general. We had a late freeze in May, I think it was second to last week of May. And I really thought we were gonna lose all of our trees. They all died. Like, they all looked like they died. The leaves fell off, it was awful. And then the next week it was 90. So the trees have had a rough go of it. This one actually has some apple scab on it. Well, I don't think that's apple scab. Anyways, this tree has some issues. I'm not sure it's gonna make it. This tree is vital though to the rest of our trees here, because this tree pollinates that tree, which pollinates these two trees. So it's really important that that tree is doing well. But even with all the challenges this year, look what's on this tree, this little tiny tree. One thing I wanted to show you guys that I don't remember if it was on the original plans that I showed you in February, but I wanted to show you how we're containing the garden and why we decided to go with stones in between the boxes. So the stones keep the weeds from going crazy, and it keeps it from being a mowing nightmare for us. You can see we do still have some weeds, obviously, and we probably always will. But it makes it so much easier and it makes it so much neater for us. Trying to mow in between all of these boxes, all of them, would just be such a hassle. To keep the stones in, we used 4x4s and we put them together with these little mending plates here. So the corners all have a mending plate, and then every single joint has a mending plate. Okay, so this is the back section of the garden, and this whole section is brand new this year. You can see in this area we've got some eggplants. They're down in there. And then we've got more peppers. These peppers are actually doing okay in here. Tons of basil. There's a basil pesto recipe that I have you guys here on YouTube. I will link it for you so you can see it. It's delicious. It's perfect for all that fresh basil. We have tomatillos, which if you have ever had salsa verde, this is what they're made out of. I don't think any of these ones are ready yet in here because I picked a bunch of them yesterday, but they're so good. They're tangy and full of flavor. Over here we have another tomatillo plant whose branches are getting too heavy for it also. We have some spicy basil down in here. And there's another tomato plant in there. And another pepper plant. Also, those peppers are doing much better. And then more eggplant. So all throughout the garden, I tried to kind of mirror each side. So what's planted on one side is planted on the other side. And that gives you an ability to, if you have bugs hit one kind of crop, you have another one on the other side that hopefully they haven't hit. Back here we have some pea plants, and just like the peas up front, these peas had been dying off. You can see there's some that actually have died off here. But again, with that cooler weather, they started coming back. This bed and that bed over there are all tomato plants. So they're different kinds of tomatoes. I have mortgage lifters in here, and some of these ones are actually turning, which is so exciting for me to finally get those tomatoes. We had a few yesterday that we got, and I immediately made tomato sandwiches. The heirloom tomatoes are often really heavy, so I'm tying them up here on the cages. You can see some of the branches are falling. They get really big, but they're really delicious. And that one is a good example. Crazy sized giant heirloom. In here we have some more tomato cherries or cherry tomato plants. There's some more that are ripe back there. I actually just picked this yesterday, so the fact that there's even more back there is awesome. And then again on this side we have more peas, but this is a weed. I have to come and weed the box again. But look, the peas are coming back too here on this side. They're doing really, really well. So I'm hoping as the weather cools, we'll get a new crop of peas. Over here, we have some artichokes. And then this space, I just absolutely love. So we made these tall beds as kind of an afterthought. This one and the one over here had cabbage in it originally. They'll all be kind of raked through and then replanted for the fall with some carrots, some beets, different things like that. These ones have onions in them that they're now ready. You can tell when an onion's ready by when it flops over. That means it's ready. And then back there, more onions. And then we have this lettuce that just completely bolted because, like I said, again, it's been so hot. So I'm gonna pull this out and give it to our chickens. They'll love it. And then I'm actually gonna cut it off from the base and it might grow back for me. Lettuce is a cut and come again vegetable, so you can cut it off, you can pull off a couple leaves and it'll keep growing for you. This is my potting bench and my processing table. So anytime I'm pulling stuff, I'll have some stuff drying here. There's some pictures I'll show you guys. And there's actually a whole blog post I did on this, so I can link that for you guys in the description below. This box again had cabbage, so it's getting ready to be replanted. This box had arugula, and there's actually still some in here. That's a weed. And then there's shallots in here too. They are right down in here. So I have to dig those out. This box is more lettuce and kale, which the kale will grow really well for me. Honestly, probably until November. And then we just added this little fire pit in here recently so that we could roast marshmallows and we could sit here and watch the sunset. Last but not least, there's this space back here in front of the greenhouse. So we tried something here this year that didn't work out very well. We were gonna try to plant flowers in the ground, but only weeds kind of grew through. So we had this idea that we would use landscape cloth. We burned holes in it, and then we planted the seeds. You can actually see these ones are flowers. Here, there's zinnias coming through. So this one did okay, but we originally had one here and we had one here that didn't do so great. So next year we're gonna come up with a new plan for this area. But I'm excited to see the zinnias grow. Oh gosh, the greenhouse, guys. So I'm gonna do a whole separate video for you about the greenhouse because I love it. It's honestly kind of a dream come true. And I'm just so excited about it, and I want to make sure I show you everything. So I will come back to that and do another video for you. But there's some junk down there on the ground. But other than that, that is the whole garden. Okay, so that's it. That is months and months of work out of my life this year to create this space, but I love it. I hope you guys love it. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm also gonna put a link to the blog post that has all the details on the garden space, so check that out. And please remember to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with everything we're doing here at Sugar Maple Farmhouse.